So just exactly how healthy can we be? Hi, my name's Tom and this is my Carnivore Life. So today I was changing out a water heater for a customer, and once I got finished we were talking about the longevity of her water heater. And in our area, a water heater will last 8 to 10 years. And the reason for that is because of the water when you're on city water here. And it got me to thinking, if it can tear up a water heater in 8 to 10 years, which normally they should last about 20, what is it doing to our insides if we're drinking it? And so then we got to talking about, well, we'll just drink bottled water. And I'm like, well, that's not so good either, because now you've got chemicals that leach in from the plastic and microplastics. And so that led me down a road of thinking about, just exactly how healthy can we be in today's modern world. Almost everything we buy is in some sort of plastic. When I was growing up, liquids were usually either in a wax-coated cardboard or glass, and some things in metal and tin. Aluminum didn't come along till later. But you look at things like even our cooking utensils, they're plastic. So when you expose those to high temperatures, what kind of chemicals are you getting in your food? And then you have the nonstick pans, which if you've never looked it up, you need to look up the documentary on Teflon, because that's a carcinogen. So if you're using nonstick pans, does it have Teflon in it? And Teflon's gone through a number of names ever since the patent expired. So it may have, some other name, but it's still Teflon at its core. And so that leaches into your food. And so, it really becomes a big rabbit hole when you're trying to figure out how to have optimal health, but yet exist in today's modern society. So for me, my wife and I, we have kind of switched over to cast iron. I had a cast iron pan, but we've added more to our arsenal. I think I have one more pan to replace, and then all of my Teflon stuff will be done. But you look at things like that that can really affect your health. We've even gone so far as, it's hard to find, but we've gone through flea markets and yard sales and things like that to try and find stainless steel, serving spoons and spatulas and things like that. And we've got most of that replaced. We still have a few other types of utensils, but we're getting there. So trying to be healthy and trying to exist in this world has kind of led me to the belief that if you're going to take control of your health, you really kind of have to go, for lack of a better term, off-grid. Because off-grid, you can kind of control things to an extent. You generate your own power. And that, is kind of a gray area, the electromagnetic, whatever. I don't know that I believe a whole lot of that, but I guess it's possible. You get yourself on a well, and you still have issues there with, is there contaminants? Are you near a farm where, the nitrates that they use for fertilizers, is that leaching into the groundwater, and so on and so forth. And you can put in water filtration systems to try and mitigate a lot of that. I don't know that you can get 100% of it, but you can get a good majority of it. Obviously, you're not going to have the fluoride in there, so that's not going to affect you. And then you kind of have to raise your own food. But there again, there's a caveat, because, was somebody else on that land that was using chemicals in the soil that now the animals are going to consume the grasses and weeds? And is that going to affect the quality of the meat that you get from the animals? And I mean, the list just goes on and on. And so I don't know what the answer is to all this. I think at its core, we can control what we can control. But if we sit here and try to mitigate every single thing that we could possibly think of, we're going to drive ourselves crazy. We need to figure out what are the important things that are, the bigger items that are going to affect our health, like Teflon and our water, and then kind of go from there and figure out, what we can do to, reduce these contaminants as best we can. You can even go so far as, laundry detergent and soaps and shampoos and mouthwash. And I mean, the list just goes on and on of all the things that, we come in contact with or consume that's adulterated. And unless you're making these things yourself from whole ingredients that you know where they came from, it's really hard to live a healthy life and not be contaminated by something. I don't know what the answer is to all this. Maybe we go back to the way the cavemen were and we just get rid of all of this modern convenience, because let's face it, we're trading convenience for our health. And that's what it is at its core. You really have to take stock of, like I said before, how far down this rabbit hole you want to go, how controlling do you want to be of these chemicals and different things like that you can or maybe cannot control. But you really have to make a decision on, where you're going to go. And obviously the first thing is get your health right with your diet, because the diet is number one in fixing anything. And then from there, you can start narrowing things down and making changes. And I think some of the issues that we have with health is some of our food supply interacting with different things in our environment, whether that's the Teflon or the microplastics or something in the water, the fluoride. It could just be the perfect storm. And trying to eliminate all that and get as clean as we can, I think, is the best we can do. So I hope you enjoyed this little discussion about how healthy you can be. And, give me a like, subscribe down below so you'll be notified when I put out a new video. And if you have any comments or thoughts on this topic, leave me a comment down below. And as always, have a great day.